This might answer a lot of questions you might have about should you go to film school, should you complete a formal education in cinema to begin creating films. Hello. This took me half an hour to set up, but this video deserves all this. Today I'm talking about my filmmaking journey. If I died today. I got a question recently on the Q&A that I just did. I think some people were asking me to talk a little bit more about my filmmaking journey. Most of you might not know this, but for my college, I actually went to film school. It's called a BSc in cinema. This is how I'd be holding the degree right now if I actually went to collect it. The question asked me to talk about my filmmaking journey, but even before I begin to answer that question, I really have to think, am I really a filmmaker? Like, the term filmmaker kind of assumes someone who creates films, cinema. Nowadays, anyone with a camera can kind of create a video and post it online. But if you really get in the nuts and bolts of it, have I shot and published any films of my own? I don't know, because that's what I really do on a daily basis. It's create these moving pictures, movies, films, and publish them for an audience to watch. Like, I technically do make films, but I never really felt like a filmmaker. That's the reason I'm a little uncomfortable with that term. I also don't like using that label all that much because unlike most of the people in this field, or most of the people who aspire to that title, I never really wanted to become a filmmaker. For example, I don't have a story that begins with, ever since I was a kid, I've always held a camera, or my lifelong goal has always wanted to become a filmmaker. That's not the truth. In fact, like most people, maybe even including you, I've always been this sort of aimless, ambitionless, rudderless ship that doesn't know where it's supposed to go or where it's going. The truth is, up until my mid-20s, I really didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. And it was the case when I completed my schooling and I had to pick a college to join. For example, I had taken science subjects for my A-levels, which I guess was supposed to lead up to becoming a doctor, but I never really wanted to do that myself. So when I kind of ran out of time to pick a vocation for myself, I kind of landed on cinema or filmmaking as something that I thought was easy and at the same time sort of interesting. Like I said, I was an aimless, kind of ambitionless student. I mean, I got good grades, but I didn't really have that, passion or focus on anything. So I ended up like most students who don't have that inner drive. I watched a lot of TV, watched a lot of movies, and I spent a lot of time playing video games. Basically, I had a lot of free time. And people like that who have too much time on their hands make amazing critics, at least in their heads. A little pretentious, I really loved the good films. I knew what made them good. But at the same time, if there was a mediocre or a bad film, then I was that annoying friend that would be sitting next to you and pointing out all the flaws instead of actually enjoying the movie. So I was basically an armchair critic. And when I saw these bad films, what I would do was I would basically be like, that is so dumb. I could have done a better job. And I guess that line, that thought, was the entire reason for me committing my college years into learning cinema. I came into it from a perspective of, like, I've watched a lot of films, I have good taste. Maybe if it was me behind the camera, then I could do a better job. So in my 20s, I joined film school, ready to disrupt the industry. In a way, I was naive, but at the same time, I didn't have expectations that I would be traditionally successful in this industry. My Hindi was poor. The Nepali film industry is in Nepal. If I were to make English movies in the language that I wrote in, that I spoke, I would probably need to be in Hollywood, which seemed like an impossible dream. To be honest with you, I don't really know what I was thinking when I thought I could make a career in filmmaking. So 3 years, 6 semesters, and a bunch of student films later, I completed my BSc in cinema. But until now, even 6 years later, I still don't think I made good use of the time in film school. Now, this might answer a lot of questions you might have about should you go to film school, should you complete a formal education in cinema to begin creating films or even creating YouTube videos, whatever it is. Personally, my experience was not a good one. I think that was a mix of both me not utilizing my time well and also the college or school not really being all that. A combination of the two, definitely. Like if you really want a career in film or cinema, my personal advice would be to go to a studio or find an apprenticeship, find an internship, find some sort of job inside the film industry or behind making a movie and start there, like learn on the job. I don't think something practical like filmmaking really needs a 3-year theoretical degree. If it was me starting over again, I would completely skip that part. But I do think there's value in joining a course where there are a lot of students, a bunch of students your age, trying to follow a similar path and working towards a similar goal. Then you have friends to shoot with, partners to learn from, and of course, professors who might guide you in case you have, like, you're starting from scratch. Personally, I did most of my learning from YouTube and creating our own films. I thought the classes were more like an optional thing, but I did learn a few valuable lessons in my time in film school. Like for one, I realized that I'm not really cut out for the industry. What I mean is filmmaking is kind of a team sport in the sense that it's not really made by a single individual. Any good film that you've watched probably had at least 100 people working day and night to make it possible. Now, of course, I knew that, but to me, filmmaking was only fun up until it was, me and my friends creating films that we thought were fun. The fact that filmmaking is a business means that the few hundred people that you accumulate to create your movie need to be paid, need to be fed, need to be insured. All of that means filmmaking is really a very expensive thing. Forget the cost of cameras and actors and all that for a second. When I shot my short film, Monsoon in Garidara, it was a film that I made just for fun with my friend who is an actor. He wanted to visit my hometown and thought, while we're here, let's shoot something. It's something that 5-6 of us came together for free, volunteered our time, our effort, and made. And even without paying the actors or paying anyone who was working on that film, I still ended up spending almost 30,000 in travel and creating music for the film and stuff like that. When you're working on your own stuff, like for example this YouTube video, you don't really count how many hours you put into it and charge yourself that money. But when you're asking someone to dedicate their time and effort, you have to compensate them in some way, even if it is food that you pay them. So imagine that, but on a scale that's 100 times bigger. What I'm basically saying is that realization that filmmaking is just going to be too expensive for a nobody like me with no contacts in the industry, no family history, and to be honest, very mediocre skills. I realized right then and there that I don't think mainstream cinema or mainstream filmmaking was the thing for me. Okay, so the politics, the fundraising, you need to have a family in the industry kind of aspect pushed me into kind of like this disillusionment for my career. I kind of questioned if I was really in the right place, in the right career path. A lot of my classmates, my peers, have gone on to Mumbai to follow their dreams, and some of them have done really well. Some of them are doing jobs that are related to the industry. Also, they can be kind of in this area somewhere close to the cinema that they love. Like I'm sure you've heard of Hollywood actors working as waiters and waitresses in LA. Just being in Mumbai, just being in LA is a big thing for anyone who wants to do something in the industry. And for a time, I did go there as well. I was in Mumbai right when COVID hit, and I kind of feel weird saying it, but it feels like a blessing in disguise because it really brought me back home and sat me down thinking. It put the pause button on this whole rush to go to school, go to college, go to career. I had time to finally sit down and really reflect on what I want to do in life. And when the world came back to normal and I could have possibly gone back, rejoined my friends in Mumbai, I didn't. I opted to stay back and do something here, use the skills that I learned to maybe possibly create something of my own in my own hometown. I ended up forming my own company, helping local businesses, create content, create brands. And in a way, I was doing exactly what I was supposed to do. I was learning and creating films, and I was getting paid for it. So I guess I ended up doing what I was running away from. But like I always thought that I would earn a lot of money doing this, and maybe later on I could use that money to self-finance my own projects, my own films that I wanted to make. But like I said, I never had this passion for filmmaking or like inner urge to create movies and show it to people. It's not something that kept me awake at night. I didn't go back to Mumbai. I didn't end up making my own short films here and there. I didn't end up writing scripts in my free time. It kind of faded away as a goal over time as I just got into the flow of just working, earning money, trying to grow my company. So that brings us to now. Where am I on my filmmaking journey? In an odd way, I've kind of ended up making more video, more film, more movies than I would have probably if I'd followed the traditional filmmaking path. I would definitely not be in front of a camera. I had always imagined myself more of a director or producer, someone who would be working behind the scenes rather than in front. This channel would definitely not exist, and I would not be where I am right now. So in a way, I'm glad everything has turned out the way it has, but the question still remains, what's next? To be honest, I haven't really thought all that much about it until this moment. And looking at it now, my filmmaking journey isn't really over yet. I thought I'd given up on it, but I think the internet, YouTube, that is where filmmakers of today and tomorrow are starting and have started and are growing their audiences. So who knows, that movie directed by Jonathan might still happen one day. All I know is right now, I think I'm really enjoying my filmmaking journey. And I'm really glad you asked this question because it really got me reminiscing and really got me thinking about this whole journey that actually began the first time I ever watched a movie. And even now, I still love movies. It might not be my life's goal or passion, but I still do love watching a good movie. Finally done. Look who's here.
Hi.
If you don't know him, he's also, what do you do? What would you call yourself?
I call myself as a filmmaker and I work as a content planner right now.
He's also doing filmmaking. So I guess if you're in Siliguri, if you're in the North Bengal area, he's always available to hire. Hey, how did they find you? How did they find you?
Is the game one I have Instagram account.
Maybe I'll put up his phone number, QR code, whatever here. If you're a business owner, hit him up. So again, thank you to, I think it was Sefas who asked that question. That was a very long shoot. I think I dried up my throat. I'm sorry to those who got bored, who are not really interested in my career story or whatever. But you can always tune in tomorrow. I think we'll be going out tomorrow since it's a Saturday. It's just been way too hot to go outside, and I thought this was a good indoor topic that I could shoot while I'm inside.